can make this work.
All right.
That's why I am the cameraman.
Yeah, you are the cameraman. You're the cameraman because obviously we need some help here.
All right, yeah. All right, things are actually looking fine.
Yeah.
This is gonna work.
Yeah, I got 2 black markers too.
All
in
right.
case one dries out.
This is just the start of this. I might need a block or something back here that just does this.
Oh!
Let's not.
God!
How are we supposed to? Is this how you start a stream?
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
All right,
Do you remember what we were going to talk about?
It's something to do with some warfare.
Warfare.
Yeah.
Warfare.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's dangerous as shit. Warfare.
Warfare is life.
Yeah, it is now. For now. For a while. Okay.
Everything always reverts to warfare.
So what we're going to be talking about today is total hybrid network warfare. But even more specifically, I don't think I need 2 pens at the same time. Where's my eraser? I'm still new at this. I'm gonna erase shit and write it again in all kinds of fat. That's fine. Well, you do. Okay. So, even more specifically, we'll be talking about. You're not supposed to be on the phone and all that.
I'm not. Don't even look at me.
This is Gen Z.
I know.
We are that way.
All right,
we are what we are.
You're not supposed to have an argument with a camera.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be this way, but it is. Just like the fact that total hybrid network warfare sounds kind of abstract and it's fucking academic shit a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that as a planet, we can only have one of these kinds of wars ever, really, because you have to reach a certain technological. I'm
just saying that look at the camera, not me, because you're speaking to them, not me. I mean, I'm here, but
yeah, we're speaking. It's good. Okay, so we can call this on A, but it's really on the total hybrid network war. Because we're in the war now.
yes.
Okay. But how did we get here? That's where the sort of like history, present, merging kind of thing comes into play there. So, prehistory, 0 AD, the Romans, some stuff, a lot of war, cave people, sieges, stuff like this, and then, maybe like in 1775, we get the Army, the U.S. Army in 1775, not 76. We were active before we got the paperwork right.
That's correct.
Okay, so, but anyways, we don't have time to go back to all these bygones, so we're going to start our history lesson at the end of 1945, and what we had there. So we had total warfare. That's, World War II got us to total warfare because we had multiple economies in the world that were doing nothing. Like everybody was at the war all the time, as much as anybody could be. I mean, some people, they can't do it. They're doing something else a little bit, but it's all supporting the war. It's total. It's total. It's everybody's involved. You can't get away from it. You can't get away from it. You can't get away from it. And that is the situation here, is that you can't get away from the war now. So we actually have a code for this 1945, actually. At the end of 1945, we have the ENIAC. I'm a maniac. ENIAC, the Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. This was the first electronically reprogrammable computer, although you reprogrammed it with like a modular synthesizer with wires. In a way, this is, the Army bought this as their present for winning the war, I guess. And so, anyways, with ENIAC we have computer and we have network. But in this case of total hybrid network warfare, we mean both we, me, whatever. We're talking about networks of people, of organizations like in with the Iranian Revolution, the Islamic Revolution, Guard Corps, Islamic Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. They've got proxies. You always hear about the proxy wars. Proxy is a network concept. So you have, you know, you get some other group, you weaponize some other group to go attack another group. That's just the way to do that. So,
Thank you for Logan for commenting.
yeah, so there's a lot of...
We're up to 4 viewers currently with
Oh,
1
really?
like. Yeah,
All
keep
right.
going. We're doing good.
All right, okay, great. All right, so I'm just, so we know what the is, right? What's the mean? Okay, so we know what war means. And network, we're talking about all the kinds of things that can be a network. And then hybrid, really this means all the other kinds of warfare. I wrote some lists down here somewhere. Let's see here. Yes, irregular, unconventional, which is irregular, unrestricted.
Thank you for the 9 viewers watching right now, and we're gonna say hi back to Logan. He said, "What's up?"
All right, so, and then we got space, cyber, and subsea. Space, we got war in space, we got war in cyber. That's probably has something to do with the ENIAC and the network thing. And subsea. The cartels and the Russians both love to make tunnels. I mean, all of the Iranian proxies are tunnel guys. They're terrorist cavemen that burrow down into hospitals and stuff like that. So I guess you could call it subterranean too. Why not? Subterranean. The Iranians are subterraneans. Warfare wise. And their navy is subsea now. Okay. So, total hybrid network warfare, or the total hybrid network war that we're in. Hybrid, we're thinking war, we're thinking stacked up armies and everything going on a big battlefront, or you're just running through the woods, checking out guys and all that, and of course that's all going on. But then, irregular, unconventional, unrestricted, space, cyber, subsea, subterranean, every other kind of thing, propaganda, all that stuff. Gray zone. Things that irregular just means, you know, all right, we don't like the missiles that you're building over there, China, so we're going to send over some people to go blow your factory up or whatever. I'm not saying that that happened, but it kind of does.
Don't worry about it.
There's unexpected things in war. Unconventional is sort of the same thing, you know, it's, you know, special operation is never no peace, so they're always at war unconventionally. Unrestricted just comes from China. That's where you get COVID, fentanyl, all of the other things like this, just pumping up communism and stuff like that in the universities and all these things. Space is obviously, we're talking about, you know, we're always in space. You can't get away from space. You're in that all the time. But of course, we're talking about orbital things like spy satellites and communications infrastructure, things like that. Cyber, we're obviously just talking about computer. But you know, really, cyber feeds back into meat space. That's a problem. It's not just your computer's on the blink, but you're also confused as shit because TikTok and all that kind of thing. Subsea, you know, under the ocean, we've got these like sneaky submarines and all this stuff. We got fiber optic cables. We've got arrays of sensors of all kinds of types of things, and so there's all kinds of subsea. like sort of secret subsea and space war that doesn't necessarily get publicized and stuff, because every time somebody takes a hit or does something, it embarrasses the other side. One side doesn't want to admit it, doesn't know what happened, all this kind of stuff. And subterranean is mostly just localized to terrorist cavemen and Mexican cartels and stuff like that. There's not like subterranean from one major power to another yet. I don't think we'll be able to get there in time before the war ends. So we understand that there's a bunch of types of warfare, and you know, we're going to put that into the hybrid. But you know, primarily the fact is that the war that we're in is, yes, it's total, it's hybrid in this war, but it's network. And what's the network? And because it's a war, we got to identify the network that we're talking about here. So now we get the erasing part. And I got to redo my timeline. Okay, so on our first thing, we obviously understand that like the United States basically won World War II, although the Russians took most of the losses. A lot of people, like, they want to just keep going and take out the commies, just nuke the commies and all of this, but we just had dealt with so much stuff and so many people dying, and we just want to be over it. We'll deal with them later, and we've been dealing with them ever since, and it's a problem. So in a sense, the two sides, you know, there's all kind of, you know, whether, you know, what is Australia going to join up with Russia or something like that? Probably not, but who are the two sides? Well, there's us, okay, the U.S., United States, freedom, and then there's tyranny, and that's going to be NERC. Okay, and so the Institute for the Study of War, which is understandingwar.org, and you know, the War Department, war.gov, everything I'm going to say here is going to be in concurrence with everything that they put out, but it's just framed and contextualized for, you know, our young Generation Z fighters and military-age males that need to deal with this or whatever. NERC. So, like, there's a lot of countries out there that stir shit, but I mean, only NERC. NERC is, I mean, it's North Korea, Iran.
Can you
Russia.
guess what the last two are? Russia, China.
Okay, now the reason, so Institute for Study of War calls this the adversarial entente. In the United States National Defense Strategy, we just identify them as North Korea, Iran, Russia, and China. But NERC, the reason that they're, like, we don't have Mexico in here or Venezuela in here is because NERC is the only group of countries that can export terror on an industrial scale. So we have that with Iran, with the Houthis, the Hezbollah, and Hamas.
Well, we've never really had a problem with the Mexican government. It's just been the cartels flooding the drugs, right?
Well, what happens is the cartels, they compromise the government and own the government.
I guess for some countries that could go to some degree, in all countries. I guess it's just how bad is the degree.
Right. And what happens is, as bad as it can be, these countries will work their intelligence services to pump up the badness as much as possible. Like those campus protests a couple years ago where all the people out there like saying, oh, we need transsexuals in support of Hamas and all this shit like this. See, the thing that these countries are really good at, okay, so kinetically we have them, okay, in all kinds of traps or whatever, but I mean, it's not like perfect, right? We'll take losses, but we can take them out. But they are really good at confusing the shit out of people and weaponizing idiots. So what they do is they weaponize idiots. At scale, at industrial scale, with all kinds of efforts in every direction. And so let's go, now that we know, this is our main adversaries here. You're with us or you're with them. And then we've got who's fighting right now as well as us is really just Ukraine. Okay. And maybe Taiwan, because they got to go out there. That's that like hybrid aspect. Like Taiwan gets surrounded by the PLN, the People's Liberation Army Navy of China, like every other day. They're play fighting the engagement. They're shooting water at each other, just pissing each other off with water. Yeah, but anyways, racing time. Yeah, so what happens is with, like for Mexico, that you brought up 10 minutes ago, they get pumped up in all kinds of ways by China and other countries. China more specifically with the fentanyl thing and other things. Just they provide all the supplies that the cartels need and stuff like that. Okay, the timeline thing, yes. We'll put this up here again. Okay, 1945 is ENIAC. And then we have 1991. So you've got a really quick timeline here. We don't make it too complicated. Swan Lake. And then we got Y2K with VOBA. And then we have 2026 with what I call stupidity.
Now, just a quick thing for the kids and everything, Gen Z, and I think there's probably even a generation that's came after Gen Z.
Yeah.
Explain to them real quick just what Y2K is, because that could be confusing to somebody.
Yes.
I don't think that was explained properly.
Yeah, that is the year. That's what the Y stands for year, and then 2K. That's just computer man speak or even financial man speak for 2000.
The year 2000.
So it's the year 2000.
All right, now make a funny thing on it, because we're climbing in viewers and everybody wants to see something interesting happening.
Well, it's just this is basically.
You got to move around like this. Is what I'm saying, yeah. No, you got to move. You got to be a little funny. Everybody likes to watch.
I have to teach the teaching stuff a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I got to try. It might come up, but it could be, This is entertaining already. Look how we're teaching history of warfare here. We have code words: ENIAC, Swan Lake, VOBA, stupidity. All right, and there's dates. What is this? 83 years ago or something like this. What is it? Yeah, whatever, like 80 years ago. Yeah, all right. So anyways, ENIAC was the first computer that was really awesome. It was electronic numerical integrator and computer. And they just got better and better and better. And really you could say that every computer and ENIAC, any computer is just part of the ENIAC. It was just an upgrade. So really all the computers in the world are just, US Army property, right? We're just users on the network. Anyways, this is when total warfare. Total warfare. Apparently paused here. So anyways, this was Cold War. In between here, cold.
Just a quick add-in on mine. I looked this up to know the exact thing. The ENIAC, it was created by John. Now, forgive me if I butcher these names, but John Moxley and J. Presper Eckert at the University of Pennsylvania. And it was originally meant to calculate wartime artillery firing tables for the U.S. Army.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I never heard of them. Anyways, moving right along. So we had some old-fashioned Cold War stuff going on here. The thing about this particular, really we're interested in this time period here between 1945 and 1991. And I would say that in this time period, there was a robust sort of anti-communist like immune system within like the American population against like everybody knew that you didn't want to be a commie, and you didn't want to be all these terrible things. Like it was just obvious. This was the kind of you would call other people in school commies. This was always a thing. And then in 1991, that's when the USSR fell. Okay, so what happened in between these two times, in 1991 and 2000, okay, that's the 90s, right? So in the 90s, we were chilling.
Chilling.
Yeah, there was the commies overall globally, like they're still active. They're always like, professors in universities. There's always this, that, and the other, but it was very weak ass. All right, we had like a cultural sort of a monoculture almost of on everything in the 90s. That's what kind of one reason the 90s hit differently is because there was just weak like a communist like aggression. There's always fucking people getting into some weird stuff, but this is not really there. That changed in like June 7th, 2000 with Vova. So anyway, Swan Lake was just this stupid Russian like ballet that they played on TV when the Soviet Union, like when their fucking system was being destroyed. They just played this fucking ballerina show called Swan Lake. So it's just what happened. Now, this is when things this is like when my research into all this really started out, because I noticed something, and that was Vova on I think it was June 7th of 2000, but whatever, it might have been a different day. Doesn't matter. It was in Y2K. Vova is what the Russians call Vladimir Putin, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, the KGB guy that basically got into politics after the USSR fell in 1991, and then he became the dictator of Russia in Y2K. He's been that since then.
Dictator is such a harsh word.
He would love it. He's a dictator. Although after he started the war with Ukraine, he had this like hot girlfriend that left him because like all the Western brands that like the Gucci and all this stuff left fucking Russia, so she couldn't go fucking buy handbags and shit like that. So she fucking left him and went back to Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Vova lost his fucking bitch starting this fucking war.
You hear that? Even country dictators can't keep winning.
Yeah. That's right. He's got other bitches though. I mean, he's a dictator, so he could just be like, I'm gonna go with the other bitch now. So thing is, Vova knows the intelligence game, the statecraft game, and all this mental masturbation or whatever. Like he would see this shit here, and it would be very straightforward to him. This would be very frightening as well, I guess, because it's like, oh no, it's so obvious, but whatever, it don't matter. Anyway, we got Vova, and see, the thing is, he actually got to be elected, because they just had a drunk named,
Yeltsin.
yeah, they just had this drunk, like, that was running Russia the whole 90s, and it sucked in Russia. We thought, okay, well, they'll just chill out, they're done, they'll figure it out, okay? They didn't figure out shit. All their society just went into crime lords and overlords and all kinds of other stuff. Very unstable. Vova got elected on the promise of stability.
Did he deliver stability?
Yes, until the Ukraine war started.
So he gave him about 20 years of stability.
Yeah, just long enough to grow a generation of fucktards to fucking throw the fucking fire at the meat grinder, I guess. But anyways, yeah. But the stability ended on, what was it, like February 24th, 2022, with the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And, this was the plan all along. It's always bullshit. I mean, this is bullshit. The stability, like, the Russian, like, GDP or whatever, like, they're as big as maybe Texas or California, but, like, or something like that, or not even. And, like, Germany, like, they're a huge country, but they're just like a gas station with the mafia and all that, blah, blah, blah.
Energy.
Yeah.
You're an
And so the thing about
energy power.
see, here's actually like a good thing. It's like the fucking, even the guy that's in charge of NATO now, like he was like had his hand on the fucking thing to turn Nord Stream on, and like see Vova worked at the KGB. He worked in Germany, so super good at fucking Germany over. They fell for every piece of bullshit that he put at them. Get rid of nuclear energy. Nuclear energy's dangerous. Get rid of nuclear energy. So they shut down all the reactors. Oh, let's buy Russian gas. We're gonna get this. Oh, come on, guys. Like climate change, fucking blah, blah, blah. All this stupid ass shit. They fell for everything. Absolutely. He got this bitch named Angela Merkel or whatever to like shut down all the nukes and like buy into fucking Nord Stream. Yeah, he actually fucked them. Fucked them good. Yeah, and so really that's kind of what I'm talking about really is this in between Y2K and 2026, like your entire fucking life, okay? This guy has been super active in the propaganda and the manipulation and the confusion and all this stuff to great success with zero punitive responses, like just absolutely pumping us full of bullshit in every direction and working with his friends in China. They're not really great friends. None of these people are Iran and North Korea. Yeah, to do this kind of thing.
Now, how deep in do those relationships really run? Because people think they're neck and neck, but do you believe that they're really neck and neck, or are they kind of just like they're allies because they have no other choice to be allies? And like, what is your thoughts on that?
Well, so I mean, like Tajikistan really didn't become like a military powerhouse or whatever. But if Kazakhstan or one of them guys, if they pumped up and it become like a crazy dictatorship and like had this kind of thing, so I mean, they're friends and allies of convenience in a sense. They all kind of don't like each other. China's got plans to invade Russia. If Russia fucks up shit, like they all fuck each other in the ass. Like Iran needed more shit, no one came to their aid. They'll sell them shit. They all fuck each other in the ass. But they know that that's who they have to work with. So they'll play kid each other and they'll do shit and they will share shit. But I mean, because like they're all evil, but you know, so the thing about it is these like Russia, they hate their people a lot.
You talk about their civilians.
Yeah. What it is if you're military, then your civilians are just a resource for you to have food and do all that work that the military doesn't want to do, and they're the ultimate at human resources, because they just absolutely just fuck their people over so hard. Like with North Korea, for example, they spent so much money pumping up this. They basically got their uranium by burning coal. Because coal has like 0.0001% uranium in it or whatever, so when you burn it, you'll get that uranium out if you filter it out. So if you just burn shitload of coal, not for doing anything else but to get that uranium out, like they just burned like hella coal out of a coal thing to get their uranium. And it's like 1%, I think, of the amount of coal, like the cost for that coal, could have fed their whole population, but they didn't do that because they don't want their, stop pointing to that thing. I'm looking at you.
There you go. Now you just got like 5 viewers when you looked at the camera. I was just saying it. Everybody, they love it when you're looking directly at them. That's what I was saying. See, that looks so much better. There you go. If you put me on a stand where I'm seated up higher, yeah, that looks so much better like that. All right, now you're out of frame.
All right.
All right, you're in frame.
Okay. Russia, China, Iran, North Korea hate their people and use them and exploit them to the like nth degree. Like everything that
I didn't know that they went all that and they really didn't get uranium. They just burnt coal to get the uranium.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. No, they'll you know, like they'll buy any kind of weapon or do any kind of stupid shit before they even think about like the people or anything. They're just there to fucking do work and make stuff exist and like be slaves and like anything that involves the people is just trouble. They're there to be exploited. That's the purpose of the population. There's no other purpose. If you're in China, Russia, or North Korea, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, like
now are all 4 of those? They're all communists, right?
they're all they're all communists.
They're all
Yeah. So I mean, you can get technical. I mean, I would say that. You know, Iran, you could say, is like a theocratic democracy, right? But it's a communist thing. Because what do we mean between, like, you know, the thing is like freedom versus tyranny. Like communism, it's not complicated. It just means getting fucked over and being told what to do and having to do it, or being shot or killed, or basically suffering a fatal mishap as soon as you don't comply.
And no financial reward for earning more.
Or
Well,
make-
no,
or make it
actually,
more profitable?
actually, like if you're in the party elite or the system or whatever, you're part of the system. They're also capitalists. Because you can't just motivate people that work for you by pointing a gun at them and saying if you don't do this, like you can do that with the people.
Yeah, you can only
Because
do
they're
that with
not
mass.
on.
You can
Yeah,
do
with
that
the masses, they're screwed. They got no way to come back. But when you got internal in your organization, that's where the money comes in, and they use the money to control everything, right? And they can take that money away or give it to them or whatever. Like that's the officials in China. Like the whole point of being an official is to take. The corruption is the point. Like they're not going to ever get out. Russia and China, they're not going to like stamp out corruption. Like corruption is what they do. That is communism.
Or now a quick side thing. Now, obviously, communism, that is a government, or is that a communism? Communism and socialism, is that a part of the two things? Or is
It's
that,
sort of like this. How much would you want to know about communism in the 15 minutes until you're taken to the wall and shot? Like, you know, how much do you really want to know? Like, it's a way of getting fucked.
it's a way of getting fucked.
Yeah, and it's a way of scaling getting fucked to as big as possible. That's what the goal. That's the global communist conspiracy.
Is that a government idea or also an economic?
Whoever's
or
in
both
charge of
ideas?
whatever, if you're in charge of getting people to be fucked for you or whatever, then you want communism because that's, you know.
Now,
That's what it is.
what was the difference between the fascism with Germany in the late 30s and the early to mid 40s, 1930s and 40s? How did that differ from what's going on with communism today? Did they actually care about their people and only their people and no other outsiders, or what was the difference there?
They did, in a way, very much care for the people,
So that was the difference.
but not all the people. The party elite. The
party-
higher Nazis, the bigger Nazis. If you're bigger, you want to be a bigger Nazi, not a little Nazi. If you're just a little Nazi, you might just get taken out by a bigger Nazi, you know. So I mean, yeah, they care about
So to some certain degree, that if you were at least part like a civilian or a citizen of the fascist regime, you weren't just considered part of the meat grinder just to give them what they wanted. They did want them to succeed
So,
to some degree.
To some degree, but it's just a very it almost just doesn't. This is almost like details of the internals of their bullshit. For example, with Chinese are the biggest racists in the world. Like the Han, if you're not Han Chinese, then you suck. And even if you are Han Chinese, or you're Northern Han, or you
So they're
Han,
racist even on
so-
the inside of their country. Towards
and see these are all like North Korea is homogenous as sort of an ethnic group. Iran's got a mix of different people. China's got a mix of different people, and Russia's basically like an empire. They've got the Muslim guys that are in Rostov-on-Don versus the Siberian reindeer herders. These are different. They're not like they've been conquered. All right. Whereas China's like they have an ethnic group, the Han, but then they've got a bunch of other ethnicities around them, like the Uyghurs, stuff like this, and the Tibetans or whatever. Anybody that's not the Han, they want to suppress them and take their organs and all that kind of stuff.
But in China, even though they're
But like
They
to
could
be in the party elite, you have to be a Han Chinese. You're not going to go in there as a white guy. You can never be Chinese ever. There's no way. You can't do it. You have to be Han. You have to be born into that.
But Russia is a lot more diverse with their ethnicity. In China, they have different ethnicities, but it's really just like they're
But they hate them
basically
all.
the
You gotta be
same.
Han. They're not all the same. They got different languages. They got all kinds of stupid bullshit. But the Han.
But from an outsider, it'd be hard to tell the difference.
Well, they all look the same, right? No, I mean, yeah, you kind of can. You get to know them better. You can tell which one's worse. Let me see. What else do I actually want to talk about in this initial sort of lecture? Okay. Oh, yeah. So, this was the timeline. This looks so bad. But, like, in this period, let's
What's the next period we're getting into?
We're
now?
just deleting the history. Forget like the time period between 1945 and 1991 and 1991 and Y2K. That was a long time ago, and those times were different. But now we're just talking about from Y2K to now.
Okay.
And I just want to say, so Vova had stability. And this is what tricked the West into thinking, oh yeah, let's hang out with Russia. Maybe Russia will join NATO. Maybe we can buy gas from them. Maybe they'll chill out. And then in stability. But he's got, since he started the war, he went under some other word. I think it's called like Drushna or something like that, which means party time.
Do you think during that 20 years of peace, was there any way that the U.S. and Russia could have been reconciled to some degree?
No.
Or they,
No.
So they're just an outsider?
No, but I mean, basically, like, Vova did make this attempt to kind of like join NATO and play along with the thing, and like, you know, it wasn't going to happen because, you know, even if those other guys are playing along with the game, they're just not going to even, I mean, if everybody was a super genius or something like that and actually trying to get along, then yeah, it would have worked out, right? But it's not the case, so no, there was really no chance of it. But there was like an effort, and there was like what seemed like legitimate efforts in that direction, and then like legitimate misunderstandings and illegitimate misunderstandings and illegitimate efforts and stuff like that, but no. And then the CCP, what happened in the Y2K, like why is everything made in China? That wasn't the case in the early 90s. That only started at about the mid 90s. And then they started going way crazy off after Y2K, and they had a thing called reform. And
They had a reformation inside the country?
no. They had this thing called reform. No, what this is how to trick the West and the United States and Europe to do business with them so that they can build more weapons and stuff like that and eventually get us. That's what this was. That's reform. So stability was just like, okay, Russia's a democracy. We have businesses here. We're ready to do business. Let's do business. Do business in Russia. Reform and opening up. That's the same thing in China. Come here, do business. We've got, you know, it doesn't. We don't have OSHA or factory safety or anything like that. We don't care. We'll pay our people 2 cents an hour or whatever. Maybe we don't even pay them. So that's going on. Just hybrid propaganda. All of this mind games and stuff like that is going on here, where every single bad idea or good idea, like, see, there's this thing, if you want to start a government or whatever, or have a group of people be a part of an organization, come together and do paper and not fight each other, but actually come to make decisions and actually be a government, there's this thing you read called Robert's Rules of Order, where you like agree to do this, and that's where this whole thing, the whole processes and procedures that the Congress and the Senate and the House follow, and their procedures and decorums and all of this, which is Robert's Rules of Order, which is where you make a motion to like consider something, and then if it's like people want to consider it, and they call to a vote. If not, if they don't want to consider it, it's too much, we table it and put it out later, and this kind of thing, right? It's not very complicated. However, in 1940 something, back in World War II, the CIA, or the precursor to the CIA, called the Strategic Services, they put out this thing called the Manual for Simple Sabotage, which is where you go into the meeting, but instead of trying to get things done and propose things that you just try to waste as much time as possible. You bring up all kinds of issues that do not matter, and you make all kinds of concerns that are not really real concerns, and you just make everything impossible. You make it impossible for this group to actually organize and function as an organization. So that's just the standard fare for hybrid warfare right there. Yeah, so climate change, transsexual, gay, lesbian, you know, anything. So, what is it? LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer, questioning, and whatever else. All of those things are wonderful for commies.
AI plus, asexual, and...
Oh, that's good too. Yeah, asexual is the best one, because you do not want your enemy reproducing. You want them to be degenerate. You want their population to go down, and you want them to be at odds with each other. You want the men to fight the women. You want the young men to fight the old men. You want the young women to fight the old women. You want everybody to have as much confusion as possible. So,
and I would say they've done a very good job of that.
oh yeah,
Very good.
it's their finest work.
Yeah.
That's how we get to what, oh yeah.
What's that old,
There's another-
write this saying up there, I think this would be really good.
I just need to write this.
Alright,
The stupid arity. That's 2026. We're there now. We're as stupid as we can get. I don't know how we get stupider, or we just die. We're still here. It's a problem.
everybody can still, to some degree, feed, clothe, and
Yeah.
house and eat.
And the rest of the time, they're just like, yeah, doom.
But I think the China, they probably, essentially what they were thinking is, the only thing that normally can defeat steel is its own rust. So that's probably how they were getting at with how to destroy our society. That'd be a good quote to write up there.
Well, it's okay. I'll write your quote. Yeah, all right. You know, the only thing that can be steel is own rust. The only thing that's not even true though. Whatever. Defeat
It works for this.
steel
We'll see what the chat says.
is it's.
Normally these things are determined of whatever the chat says, whether it's true or not. So.
Whatever. That's your quote. This is from a student. This is a student suggested quote or whatever. But yeah, okay. Yeah. So another, Abraham Lincoln said that the United States will never be defeated from outside. We will only be defeated from inside. And also,
It all wraps in
we
one
have
sentence.
guns here. We have a good like you have to do this. This is these the hybrid warfare. The hybrid network warfare. Okay, this was developed. Okay, and they've got different names for it. So, for example, in Russia, they got this thing. It's called active measures.
So you're saying
Active measures are like when you're actually sending people in to infiltrate organizations to fuck them up and slow them down. Like you get into a standardizations committee, right, on standardizing some technology, and you make it more complicated and harder to standardize. They just do this shit all day long. That's all they do. So yeah, that was developed to defeat us from the inside, and you can see that that's been affecting us in a way. Because we have our own disagreements, and then like if they can actually get it, they don't always have success, and sometimes it's just us fighting each other. But then, quite often, and pretty much in all cases now, they see that and they amplify the shit out of it.
so hybrid network warfare, that is essentially the highest form of warfare, other than just completely decimating.
The highest
your
would be
enemy.
total.
Yeah, total.
But
Normally nothing's left to try to, and I don't think any
the
country.
thing is that the total is that like I don't know how you'd have. I mean, you can kind of have a. I think what we had before, maybe we had like hybrid network warfare back in the early thousands, right? Like not everybody was sucked up in it because it didn't exist in the 90s so much. I mean, you still had propaganda and people doing time wasting and confusing and stuff like that, but we didn't have total hybrid network warfare until like the last decade or whatever. Like you could say that it started in 2014 with the annexation of Crimea or something like that. I mean, you could make up any kind of anything in particular because it's a bit of like it got bigger and bigger and bigger. But now it's total and you can't look away. It's all day, every day. Everybody's involved. If you're not like fighting on one side, you're weaponized. You're conscripted into the other side. If you're not volunteering for freedom, then you're conscripted into tyranny by default. Because if you just don't know, you're just going to be fed gobbledygook and you're going to repeat it. It's going to happen every time because they've got bullshit everywhere. They'll have some video about something and all the video is facts, except they put in this thing here like, you really should live in a city, like really you should get rid of cars, you should live in a city with really great new, like free public transportation like Mamdani's New York City. Put some shit like that into a video.
He's here to help us, isn't he?
Oh yeah. Mosques are forward operating bases, okay? They're fobs, and they have fobbits in them, but they're the bad fobbits. Mosques are bad fobs.
Are all mosques bad, or just a few?
All mosques are bad. You do not want mosques.
Is the religion in a whole, is it a, not good?
It's not good. No good.
So what do you think should happen?
We gotta get rid of it.
How do you do that?
It's hard. I don't know. How's it gonna go away? I don't know. Something's gotta happen. Because it can't keep getting bigger. We'll die.
Well,
What will happen, here's what happens. If it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, then they kill everybody else that's not a Muslim, and then they start secting off and killing each other. They've already done that thousands of times in the past, like the Iran-Iraq war, Sunni, Shia, different factions, they just kill each other. Because it's just warlordism.
Do you believe that
But-
human nature is just naturally destructive?
No.
What do you believe human
It's
nature
trauma
is?
and bad upbringing and bad, environment that creates bad people. And then when you start being bad, once you're bad for a little bit of time, you're stuck being bad. You can't ever be good. You're just bad.
You don't think there's ever any room for reconciliation?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, for example, with Islam and with the Muslims, like, there was some cool aspects of their culture and some stuff like, the Arabic numerals or whatever, that had something to do with Islam, I guess. We use those; those are good. Back they had the Islamic Golden Age. They had all this geometry and astronomy and stuff like that. The temples are kind of cool with the geometry and stuff like that inside. They've got the culture of Islam with the Ramadan, where they have this fasting for a week or so, once a year, and then you have the 5 times a day prayer. Like, it creates, there's a lot of culture there that's sort of like, it's something to get into, something to structure your life, right? And some of these things, that, like the music, it can be enjoyable and all of this. But no, it's no good. It's not good. None of that stuff redeems it. It's a fucking shitty, fuck Islam. It's a bad religion. You don't want to be a Muslim. Sorry. I've had a couple Muslim friends, but they're just misguided, and it is simply
So
bad.
you were saying the friends that you did know that were Muslim, they weren't necessarily bad people?
They were getting worse, though, by being Muslim.
Do you believe that wholeheartedly, just from your personal experience?
Oh, it's just like somebody gets into any kind of thing that's not so good, and they're like just kind of into it on the side, but then they start repeating stuff that has, bad, vibes on it.
Now,
Like,
what happened to those friends now? How far did it take them, or did it take them bad, or are they about the same? What's your take on that?
I don't know exactly. I haven't kept up with them close, but I think one of them converted to Islam in jail. The other one was like from an Islamic country or whatever. I mean, I don't know. They're just, these guys, they're not guys that are the kind of guys that are causing trouble. They're just like caught up. They caught the Islam thing a little bit, and we're doing that for a while. It's like getting into goth or getting into
Now, given what you just said about that religion, what religions would you say are good to follow? or correct in some sense, or teach good values that are good even if you don't necessarily
Jewish
believe in
stuff
them?
and Christian stuff is pretty good, because it's not that it's like, I'm not saying that any religion is true, but I am saying that they're useful. And I'm not saying that I believe in any gods or anything, but I definitely believe in the power of prayer, because you have, like, just in the Christian tradition, like, it's like, okay, we're gonna, dear Lord Jesus, we're all thinking about Joe. Joe's come down with a bad cold. He's in the hospital, and we all need to pray for him and think just this kind of thing. That's like a cultural thing that puts things into people's mind, and then they think about, okay, so there's real power of prayer, and there's a lot of cultural things that are good about Christianity and Judaism.
Are you saying that the Muslims don't
But-
pray for their people when they?
Yeah, they get not so much.
You don't
Not so
believe
much.
that?
Yeah, they say a lot of bad shit. They're just they.
But not about their own people, would they?
Yeah, they fuck. Look what they do to the women.
What do they do to their women?
They put them in a fucking blanket and beat them.
Do you believe that all of them do that, or that the religion
That's
makes
what
it
they
easy
do.
for them to be able to do that?
Both. It's a beatdown. It just gets worse. Like, the thing is, like, the sort of like the Inquisition and all these things that like Christianity had in the past that were kind of a bit much. They've been neutered out. Like, they've been bred out of the thing. So Christianity is it's benign. Like, it's
Docile.
like getting COVID, or now it's like you'll probably live, right?
It's more docile.
Yeah, it's just youth group and concert and
Why do you
love
believe
Jesus.
that can't happen with the Muslim religion?
Because the book that it's based on, and the people that it's based on, and the people that pervade it, that is not in their hearts and minds whatsoever. What's in their hearts and minds is fucking conquering, raping, killing, getting weapons, you know, all this shit. Like, it's not fucking like kumbaya shit and singing your love forever kind of thing. It's none of that.
What is kind of strange though is that the three main religious groups, you know, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, they all stem and they're all considered Abrahamic religions. So they all do stem from essentially the same roots.
Yeah, I mean, it's all like Harry Potter fan fiction, I guess. You know?
Are you saying that all of these
I'm
religions?
saying that all Harry Potter fan fiction is based on Harry Potter.
Are you saying that these are all essentially fictitious things? What is your personal belief?
I believe all these religions exist.
Do you believe that they're what they're teaching or what they're about and the history behind them? Do you believe that is real?
What do you mean? Like the sky god stories, or like just that, like who begot who? Now we're getting off here. We got to talk about warfare, not religion.
Well, it all loops together. I mean,
Yeah.
war and religion or economic prowess, all of that loops into some degree its own. You know, it's all together in some sense. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So, you know, like Russia is an empire, okay? So they have Russian Orthodoxy, which is a type of Christianity, but they also have a significant population of Muslims because they've conquered Muslims as well as Christians. And so they have both Islam and Christianity in there, so their type of Christianity.
No.
China is an atheist place. They hate churches, they hate mosques, they hate all that shit. None of that shit. They just want the party. It's just the Communist Party. Same thing with North Korea.
But when you say that, you're just talking about the government structure, not necessarily the people, because the people, you know, they can't necessarily speak for what their government does. I mean,
They can't speak it. They never get learned how to speak. They never get a chance to learn enough to do anything or know that they're being fucked as hard as they're getting fucked.
Well, I
They're
have
just a
learned
resource to
that
be fucked.
there has been a lot of, you know, Christians that have been in China that, you know, have wanted to convert or have converted, but they had to do it secretly just because of the government restricts all of that so much.
Yeah.
And then you were talking about, you know, the Muslims being bad, but Russia, they are Christians and they do have Muslims. So if the religion that, you know, they're praying, you know, majority of them are Russian Orthodox, would you say that they're bad still? You know, they're just Russians, or I mean, where does the line stop and where does it start? And
Yeah, the line stops at none of this religious shit really means anything right now except for the Islam shit, which is a clearly bad religion.
so when you say that, though, does that mean that the Russians can be redeemed if they were to, you know, somehow?
The Russian people at large, like the people never want to go to war. They don't support any of this. The Iranians don't want to go to war. The Islamic Revolution Guard Corps may want to go to war. Like certain like upper echelons of the Russian military want to go to war because they're not going to get killed by it necessarily. Like,
Then why do you?
the people themselves are just fucked. I mean, they're just told bullshit. They believe it, and just like, you know, they may be like not so great people because like their whole life they've been beat down in a system that's totally corrupt and they've known nothing but hell. Like that's why they don't smile at each other on the street, shit like that. I mean, you know, so what they think and like what they believe, like, I mean, they would be better people if they didn't live in tyranny. That's mainly what it is. It's just a tragedy.
What would the people that are in the Muslim faith, would they be better people if they weren't a part of the Muslim faith?
Yeah, they would.
So then it really has nothing to do with the people themselves. It always has to do with the type of structure that they're surrounded with, whether it's the government structure or the religious structure. So it's more about the structure or what you know. It's always that old phrase. It's more nurture than it is nature.
All right, we're gonna end this thing on this note.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna do war. What is it good for?
Kind of looks like a Q.
It is kind of like a Q. Anyways, what is war good for? Structure in your life. There you go. Your life is structured by war.